With all of the Hazbin Hotel character redesigns, I thought now would be a good time to take a look at just not their differences from the pilot, but the differences from across the series as a whole, dating all the way back to when it first started. Hazbin Hotel premiered on YouTube in 2019, but the characters themselves were first conceived as part of a larger universe explored in VivziePop's early webcomic, Zoophobia. This comic followed a human woman being accidentally sent to a magical safe haven for mythical beings and creatures. It also had a hell ruled over by a devil figure, but instead of having Charlie as a daughter, this devil son was named Damien, as is common. Hell was just a small subplot in the bigger planned story for Zoophobia, which was meant to have many volumes with a lot of the stories pretty well mapped out, but only one volume would ever get finished. Somewhere in one of these distant volumes was a plan for an arc called Angels and Demons, which would focus on the early versions of the Hazbin Hotel characters. In this world, even Charlie was an Earthborn sinner, as opposed to being the daughter of Hell royalty, and she actually died in the 1800s in this world. This version of Charlie shares very little with her Hazbin Hotel self, and save for a name change, VivziePop said she would appear as more or less the same if she was in a Zoophobia reboot or some sort of continuation of the comic. In this original story, the Hazbin Hotel gang was being hunted down by an angel and her demon hunters, with the Hazbin Hotel characters banding together to protect themselves and unravel the mystery of why they were turned to demons. As common as it is in the series, Vaggy explains in the comic that even though they all did bad things, there were people they know who sinned far worse that did not end up becoming hell demons. VivziePop seemed to enjoy this arc more than the others she had planned, despite how far off in the future it was. So far that none of its characters had been introduced in the comic, which already had dozens of characters at this point. She would create smaller comic strips focusing on the characters and setting up their plots for fans for their eventual debut. As she developed this idea for this arc, she appeared to stumble upon a new idea that was an improvement to the original story, but so different it would no longer fit in the continuity of Zoophobia. This likely surrounded the relationship of Lucifer and Charlie, which is the premise of the show as we now have it, something non-existent in Zoophobia. Her changes from Zoophobia to the pilot were pretty extreme, but her redesign for the official series changes very little of her, but those red eyes give her that extra evil royalty vibe that I feel like she was lacking in the pilot. The other characters have changed quite a lot since then as well, not just in their visuals, but also in their relationships and characteristics. Vaggy and Angel are among the most interesting in the original Zoophobia story, as they were in a romantic relationship with each other. The pairing was mostly comedic, showcasing Angel as being an insensitive jokester that angered Vaggy, but who always managed to win her over with sweet little tokens. In this comic, he was pansexual. His approach to cross-dressing was inspired a lot more by Bugs Bunny, with more comedic value, and he and Vaggy never really agreed on just how exclusive their relationship is supposed to be. Angel's design changed very little overall from the comic to the series, and even to the redesigns, but I would say Vaggy had quite a different story. She had been a character always subject to redesign, with a lot of various iterations out there. Among my favorites are those of her with the 80s inspiration, something I hope they reference in the show during some sort of themed event. Her design remained mostly the same from the pilot to the redesign for the series, however, with the exception being her brand new red work shirt, something she only appears to wear to match Charlie and make it known she works at the hotel, and not part of her casual wear. Alistair as a character has changed very little from his origins to what we see in the show, with him being a character VivziePop started thinking up back in high school. Keeping with his cannibal theme, he didn't just eat other demons as we saw in the show, but as a deer demon, liked eating other deer specifically. This is different from his current portrayal in the show, where he does enjoy cannibalism in terms of humanity, and even certain types of demon meat, but seems to not take pleasure in eating someone who is small, soft, fair, or cute. Instead, Alistair tends to steer his desire for human and demon flesh towards those he wants to see punished, particularly for trying to kill a smaller, weaker demon like we see in the Alistair prequel comic. His recent redesign for the series changed very little, with just a bright white stripe to help his outfit pop more. Husk and Nifty were two characters who came in right at the end of the Hazbin Hotel pilot, but they also had roots as characters in Zoophobia alongside Charlie, Angel, Vaggy, and Alistair. Nifty appeared very similar to how she is now, but much taller when standing next to the other demons. They had fun introductions in the pilot, but very little time to develop their characters, leaving some fans who had been waiting to see them from way back in the Zoophobia blogs, waiting until the series proper to learn anything more about them. Serpentius does not have roots in the Zoophobia comic, but did exist in the Hazbin Hotel pilot, where he was originally meant to be a one-off character. His popularity had led Mimsy Pop to say that she would consider giving him a bigger role in the series, and with his recent redesign, it appears she made it happen. Not only is he being introduced alongside the main cast, but his blimp appears to have crashed into the hotel itself, causing some fans to speculate that he is basically staying there, and Charlie is letting him stay in an attempt to help get him into heaven like the others. The most recent redesign was Cherry Bomb, who I think looks better now than ever before, though she was someone I really loved in the pilot as well. In the original series, Cherry was radically different. She had lived a human life and gone to heaven, but was rebelling in order to help her father, who was turned into a demon after he died. This father was none other than Angel himself. Instead of being best friends like they were in the Hazbin Hotel pilot, they're family here. Angel's family was a large part of the original Hazbin Zoophobia arc, and also included his brother Arachnus and his father Hen Rowan, all part of an Italian mob family who worked in drugs. In addition to his relationships and his family, the way he died was also radically different in Zoophobia. In the Hazbin Hotel music video, Addict, Angel claims that he overdosed and ended up in a coma, but in the original series, he was gunned down as part of a mob job with his brother. These were all the characters with redesigns thus far, however there are more characters from Hazbin Hotel that also have roots in the Zoophobia era. There is Mimsy, a Flapper Girl themed demon who appeared for a moment in the pilot during Charlie's song, "Inside of Every Demon is a Rainbow." Very little is known about her, but in the original series it seems she had feelings for Alistair. Alistair is famously asexual now, but may have been intended to be in a relationship with Mimsy in some form or another in the Zoophobia era, though even then her feelings may not have been returned in the most traditional way. I imagine Mimsy coming into the hotel now as a sort of female parallel to Angel. Angel likely is going to be a nightmare for Charlie to try and manage, and when she gets a second patron, a female, she probably thinks it's going to be easier. But by the end of Mimsy's introduction, I expect Charlie to have the shocking realization that she is just as evil and manipulative and messed up in her own way as Angel is, making her very much a female Angel, but with her own unique backstory and sense of entitlement. In addition to Mimsy, we have Criminy, who was a hellhound-looking character. From what I understand, she is meant to be an earthborn sinner whose demon form is just similar to a hellhound, something I imagine is quite common in Hell. However, I think it is also possible she is a native-born hellhound who comes to the hotel asking for a chance at redemption as well. As a native hellhound, there is no reason to think she could get into heaven, but I imagine Charlie would see it as another opportunity to try and prove the good in all things and change the system. Criminy would come in trying to prove she is legitimately a good person and actually deserves a chance in heaven, while feeling hatred towards Angel and Mimsy for not just messing it up once, but also messing up this second chance they have to really get into heaven. Well, she didn't even get the first opportunity. On the other hand, she could also be a disaster of a person and only end up having the same effect Mimsy does, making Charlie think she is in over her head and that it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, human-born or native demon, that there is nothing she can really do to actually help these people when they've decided they want to be bad. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the various designs in the comments down below. What is your favorite of the old designs from before the pilot? As I said before, mine tends to be Vaggy in her 80s forms. Let me know yours. See you guys next time.